If you are a beginner but you would like to redo a piece of furniture like this video will help you figure it out. It will tell you everything that you need to know. First of all, there's probably not a single video you can watch that will teach you more than the piece of furniture itself. So you have to study the furniture, study how it's put together, make a map, and keep blueprints of how these pieces came apart. Look at what piece is the first piece that you can take off, and then that will eventually be the last piece you put on. Keep each piece of fabric as your blueprint. I didn't use a measuring tape once. I used the fabric itself, and I used very inexpensive tools to get the job done. I definitely used my hammer, my flat-nosed screwdriver, and my needle nose pliers while I took apart the furniture. While you're taking apart these pieces of fabric, you'll want to use this equipment the most. You'll definitely need a nice pair of sharp scissors. You will need a staple gun that is air compressed staple gun, so you'll need some sort of an air compressor as well. And then I used the 1-inch staples for my gun, all purchased at Home Depot. At the end of our project, we'll be using some finish staples. These are kind of finished tacks actually, so we'll get more into that later. So as I studied my piece of furniture, I realized and discovered that the back of the piece of furniture was the part to come off first. And as you can see along the corner here, they put a nice piece of trim there, which I actually am going to skip. So I took the back off first, followed by the bottom. And as you can see, what it reveals is some complicated spring work system going on there on the bottom, as well as some heavy-duty material to hold the back in place. This is a closer look at what I found on the bottom. I kept the ones on the back, however, on the bottom, those needed to be removed. They were quite soiled with so much dirt, mouse droppings, and you could tell a mouse had definitely made their home in this piece of furniture. So the smell wasn't so great. And actually, this piece of furniture weighed about 30 pounds more when I started than when I am 100% complete with this project. I also bought some of my supplies at Joann's Fabrics, and they had this burlap material there, and I replaced it all identically to how it was done before. So as you look at the shoulder of this couch, I realized that the second piece to come off, or I should say the third, I've already done the back, I've already done the underneath, is the front. So I take the fabric off the front as well and mark that number 3. Then I move to one of the sides and start removing piece number 4, which is the sort of the wall of the arm. It's not the armrest itself, it's just that piece of fabric there. And as you look closely, you can see that this was attached at the bottom, and they started the beginning underneath the armrest itself and then pulled it down tight to the bottom and attached it there second. These are the kinds of things I would take photographs of to remind yourself later how to reattach it and in what order. Another thing to pay attention to and to take photos of is how far down to the bare bones do you need to go? Do you need to really remove all of the cushion and all of the fabric? If so, pay attention and take photos, because that is basically your instructions on how to reattach your foam and your fabric and any kind of cushion that you will need, which you can also purchase at Joann's Fabric. Now that you are down to the bare bones of your furniture piece, make sure that all of the tacks, all of the nails, anything that would get in your way of applying your fabric and your cushion, make sure that is all cleared out of the way. And then we'll want to make sure you have your wood at a place that you're happy. I was very unhappy with this stain. I wanted it darker. I am going to go with an ebony stain, which is a very dark, almost black color. I picked that up at Home Depot, and I sanded it as best I could, and then I only needed 1 coat of the stain itself, and then I did approximately 2 to 3 coats of polyurethane, let it dry adequately before I started attaching anything to the furniture. So what type of cushion will you want? Will you want foam or will you want some compressed polyester? I actually used both. I used a very firm cushion foam for the seat, and you can actually cut that with a serrated electric knife, which was very, very easy. You can draw on it with a marker or a pen to the shape that you desire, and then you can actually just use an electric knife and it just zips right through like butter. Loved that. But I also used polyester type, medium density type things that I found at Joann's Fabrics. They have everything that you'll need. They have a whole upholstery section, so even if you don't know what you're looking for, they will advise you, and they'll give you some great ideas. So I started putting this together. I visited my photographs to remind me in what direction and what cushion was laid first and how it was attached. Once I completely covered the piece of furniture with the appropriate cushion, I started to count backwards from where I began, cutting my pieces and then attaching them in that order. So you'll have to go back to your pattern because every single couch is different. I have yet to see an antique settee that is exactly the same. And then you'll be putting it together based on your own instructions that you gathered. Basically, the blueprints that you developed yourself during the deconstruction phase when you began this project. So since you have already removed all of the old nails, all of the old tacks, you really have a nice clean piece of wood to be stapling everything to. You staple the cushions, you staple the sheets, and then you also staple the fabric itself. The cool thing is, as you're reassembling this puzzle, you do become one with the piece of furniture, and you realize that you can go out of order on a couple things, as I did with the front and the seat. So next on to the arm, which is to me was the hardest part. Now remember this photo of the chair. The chair is actually upside down and you're looking at the side of the arm, and that we've totally ripped the piece of fabric off the side. So this is the chair upright, and we're going to do that outside piece next. That's what my piece of furniture called for. So I finished that outside piece first by connecting it up under the arm, folding it over itself, and then I tack it at the bottom near the leg. The next puzzle piece that my chair called for was the part of the arm that was nearest the cushion. So you start there under the cushion. You have to make sure that cushion is not there to do so. And then you actually pull that nice and tight up around the armrest itself, and then you finally tack that underneath the outside of the arm. I actually used these tacks to finish off that little area so that you could not see the seam. And once all of those puzzle pieces were complete, I finished off the back of the couch itself. And that part was pretty easy. I just absolutely followed the exact instructions the couch had given me with the piece I had taken off. Then I jumped into the cushion. I am not a seamstress, and the only advice I can give you about the cushion is actually to do exactly as the cushion was prior to taking it apart. The only thing I did different is I made one big cushion rather than two separate cushions. And it's honestly just like buying a pattern at Joann's Fabric. You've got the pattern, you've got the old material, and if you look at it and study it, you can see exactly how it was sewn together. You can definitely figure this out. Finally, let's talk about those finishing tacks. The ones I took off were pure brass. So the ones I chose to replace it with were the decorative nail head trim in antique gold color. This is actually one long piece that's actually flexible and bendable that you attach with occasional holes in those tacks so that you can actually tack a real one right through. So it looks like this, and it's one continuous piece of this nail head trim, and it's beautiful and so much quicker. So after about a year's time spent studying this piece of furniture, studying how it was built and how I took it apart, I finally completed it, and how proud of myself I am. I actually almost had someone do that cushion for me. but I didn't give up and I went for it. So good luck to you. Thank you for watching and have a great day.